Previously, I spoke with Will for part 1 of our episode. We now continue here with part 2. Is it that immediate reaction from you paint a painting, it goes on display, 6 months later, someone says, "Oh, it's so nice." A musician plays a song, and you get the applause right there.
Right.
Is there a high for that, especially when it's a good song and people like it?
I think the high is from performing it correctly. Yeah. I'm never one for attention in regards to a celebration. Like, oh, you did a great job. It's like, I'm never gonna say, yeah, I did a really great job. I'm gonna be like, I could have been better. But in that moment when you're actually doing it and it feels fluid, like nothing wrong could ever possibly happen, there's something very euphoric about it. It's kind of inexplicable.
Your current iteration of your band. Talk to me about that.
Well, I have the privilege of working with 3 very talented people. I kind of grew up with these guys. They're very family-really oriented to me. James Bedore, Robbie Curtis, Jeremy Gersh, a bass, a lead guitarist and vocals, and the drummer. And they used to have their own band before I joined. They're called I'm Awake. I used to have a large gallery studio space in the city of Newburgh, and they were our house band for several years. So much like I had visual artists come over and showcase their paintings, they would always be in-house working on new things, and when we had a showcase, they would present their new work. And then slowly I just trickled into that band. And,
you weaseled your way in?
Kind of. I mean, they kind of always so, yeah, just grab your guitar, get in here. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And then it just actually started sounding good, and then it became whatever it is today.
Now, where can I hear your band?
Oh, you can't.
Can't?
Every show is a secret show.
Really?
I mean, we're trying to get out there. We've actually had like 5 canceled shows now because of Corona, so. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, yeah, that's James. Well, we're trying to get back out there, but, because of coronavirus, it's almost impossible to do anything. Yeah. It's fun. We're like spacey and groovy and very jam band, very rock oriented, and currently we're called Space Beach, but that
Space Beach.
Space Beach.
Beach.
That's right. Some of the songs are pretty satirical, but the instrumentation is always phenomenal, I think.
And do you play multiple instruments?
I play rhythm guitar,
Okay.
And I'll sometimes backup vocals to the lead vocals.
You mentioned the space that you have, and one of the highlights of my day, honestly, is going on Facebook, and there's like 4 people that I follow on Facebook.
Sure.
You can unfollow people, but still like friend them,
Right.
so they don't know.
Right.
And you're one of them.
Nice.
And Teran Studios, and all the stuff that you post on a day-to-day basis. Talk to me about that.
Sure. Well, again, it's just to instill some kind of creativity or enthusiasm or some kind of positive connotation to everything else that's happening in the world. The reason why I had created Teran Studio in the beginning was a personal mission to revitalize the arts and culture scene in the city of Newburgh, predominantly the Hudson Valley, but I wanted to bring it all back to the epicenter, like the bloodline of the city of Newburgh. That's where I was from. That's where I had shacked up. So I wanted to make that the new renaissance. And for a couple of years, I thought I had. I felt really good about it. I felt very proud about it, very enthusiastic. I wanted to defend the city. This city had a huge stigma. Don't go to Newburgh, you'll get shot, or you'll get robbed, or whatever. And I was living in downtown city of Newburgh for a couple of years already, and I hadn't personally experienced anything awful. You just got to know how to make your way around the city, I guess. I don't know. I blended in just fine. I love inner cities. I love feeling like I'm from Queens, New York, so it felt very reminiscent to that multicultural vibe.
And on Facebook, you're not just posting stuff from your studio, because I've seen like pictures of the shows you had and the loft where you're painting, but literally like the daily memes you're showing, or like the people, like here's some 97-year-olds, stained glass windows, and I'm like, how does he even find this stuff? How do you find this stuff? And how does this does this make you excited? It makes me happy just to see.
Oh,
it must make you really happy.
Absolutely. I mean, art is alive. Art is present. Everyone should have some form of creative outlet in the sense of like a therapeutic fashion. It feels good. It brings positive energy to you. Why be sad? Why be mad? Why be cynical all the damn time? Make something beautiful. Anybody can do it. I feel like anybody can make art. Everyone can be an artist. It's just a matter of discipline. You do something enough every day, you're bound to learn it. It grows, it changes, you master it, quote-unquote master it, and then you defy it.
Can you give a tip to me or anyone who's listening and saying, yeah, I get it, but Will, you haven't seen my drawings. Like if I had to draw something for you now, you'd be like, oh, this is a cave painting from 40,000 years ago.
Sure.
If someone wants to get involved, or maybe someone younger, how do they get started if they're genuinely not good at it?
Well, discipline is everything. You have to do it every day. You have to be committed to it. You have to be sincere about it. You have to have a general enthusiasm about it. Get excited about anything, and you're going to be great at it, I promise you. Today, there are so many different types of tools that you can use to kind of help you get better or make your make your stylization better. Like, I started out with tracing paper and crayons. Like that. My parents fed me tracing paper and pencils and crayons, like colored pencils, and I would just trace everything for forever. Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters and all that stuff. X-Men. I grew up in a lot of X-Men comics, and I would just, try to redraw them and trace them, redraw them, trace them, redraw them. I was just fascinated with that. And then later on, I moved on from tracing paper to white paper to, sketchbooks. And illustration is a huge thing for me. That's probably my foundation. That's how all of this started. And then I went to college for drawing specifically, but I took courses in painting, drawing, sculpture. I didn't really learn how to paint until I left college, because I started doing it for myself. And I started looking at other artists. Look at other art. That's really important if you want to get interested in art. You have to be aware of what's happening around you because nothing is original anymore. But there's a million different ways to do one thing. So just
just do it.
Get familiar with how things are already made. Like,
did you find you had mentioned you were given from your parents, is that support structure? I mean, obviously it was supportive. It wasn't like, hey, you're going to be a starving artist type of thing.
Oh, no, it was always that.
But it was like, but if you're going to do it, maybe like, here's some pencils and.
Well, my parents were very hard on me growing up academically. My parents are both educators and they're both immigrants. So it's a different mentality, different appreciation culturally. They wanted me to grow up to be like any parents would, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an architect, be something that makes money, something that's quote unquote powerful in this country or whatever. But again, this whole defiant thing within me, this whole act of rebellion, it was like, I don't want to do any of this. And I found comfortability in art, in the fact that there are no rules or that there shouldn't be any kind of limitations celebrated. And that just struck a heavy chord with me.
Where are your parents from?
Ecuador.
Ecuador, both of them?
Both of them.
Fantastic.
Yes, Manta, Ecuador.
Have you found any type of influence in your art? Based on that?
My dad pushes me a lot to do that, but I don't want to exploit any kind of cultural. Like, I just like now. I'm from the now. I'm born and raised here, and I'm very Americanized. And my appreciations come from modern art, like 1900s and beyond. I took Renaissance art. I lived in Italy for a little while, and I took courses in Renaissance art, and I studied the churches and I never got into Renaissance art. I appreciated the study and the analyzation of the anatomy. Like I spent 4 years doing nothing but that. So portraits are my thing. Mm-hmm. Like I can draw the hell out of a face or a figure, no problem. But I like the modern. The reason why I like modern art so much is because it breaks all of the traditional rules. Abstract art. Like you look at it and like, this is shit, but I think it's a little more than that. I think it's that kinetic, dynamic way of tossing paint around or taking garbage and putting it together and making it look like something versus, this is Jesus, and this is Mary, and this is...
you must have seen a lot in that in Italy.
Yeah,
1,001 churches, 1,001 museums.
It got tiring.
Is there a artist now and or in the past that you're like, that's my inspiration. Like, I want to be like him or her.
I don't want to be like them. I mean, for whatever reason, the story of the artist is very sad all the time. It's like the better they were, the more tainted as a person they were. So it's kind of hard to not lose yourself in that because I feel like there is a formula for good art, and that's like just be sad and shitty all the time. I don't know why. That's something that I've noticed, but I don't. I try not to coincide with that. I like a lot of Jean-Michel Basquiat, New York City pop art, neo-expressionist, 1981, 92, 3, 4. He died at 27 from a heroin overdose, but he was very street art oriented at first, a lot of graffiti stuff, and then a lot of large, abstract, primal paintings about his culture, his reflections on life. being a black young artist dealing with society and money and racism and just coming back to his roots, which I think were Creole, Haitian, Black French.
When you talk about something like that, do you feel in your art you have any desire or maybe even obligation to bring attention to issues that you see are wrong or political or socioeconomic? Or
I have, but the center of my work typically revolves from a very personal, sometimes egotistical place. It's all about conflict, and it's the story of me all of the time. They're journal entries, diary entries, notes, again, free writing experiences. The differences in my work is that I can set them apart in series. I have this large series that just deals with my life from however long I could remember to now, and the relationships that I've had, the conflicts in more than just my romantic relationships, just societal relationships. And I'll talk about inferences like that. But conflict is huge in my work. I don't think I make work that doesn't involve tension.
do you think that goes hand in hand with, you had said earlier, like challenging yourself? Like if there's no conflict, how are you challenging yourself?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
We're not quite done. We've got a part 3. We had so much content. We're breaking this up into 3 different parts. If you want to learn a little bit more, get some more tips and tricks and good stories from our guest, tune in next week, and we'll have our 3rd and final part. If you are enjoying the Good Vibes Project podcast, please join me on Patreon. Patreon is a website which allows me to expand upon the tips, advice, and thoughts that I'm sharing, not just on the podcast, but on my website and on my other creative endeavors. It allows you to make a small contribution financially each month to help me promote the podcast, help me to promote my writing, and helps me pay for some of these small expenses, such as websites and hosting and things of that nature.